Hey everyone, welcome to episode 12 of Learning with Leary, presented by TheFloatLife. I'm your host Jake Leary, and today I'm going to talk about your body position when accelerating on your Onewheel. Before we get into the physics or the body mechanics, we need to answer the question of what actually causes you to speed up or slow down on a Onewheel. Is it tilting the angle of your board so that the nose or the tail goes down? Or is it centering your body weight over one side of the tire or the other? As far as the Onewheel is concerned, it's the tilt of the board and only the tilt of the board that dictates the acceleration of the motor. You can easily test this by putting your hand on the sensors, lifting the board off the ground, and tilting it one way or the other. If you tilt the board nose down, it accelerates forward. If you tilt the board tail down, it goes backwards. And this is basically the only thing that a self-balancing vehicle does. It defines level, and then if you push it away from level, it will accelerate towards the side that's down. And I think a lot of people have taken this idea and say that you should mainly accelerate by pushing down with your front foot and keep your body weight back so that your board is ahead of your body. The reasoning being, you'll be less likely to nosedive if your body weight is behind the tire. You can do a really simple experiment to show that this is physically impossible. Just stand on your Onewheel and try to push the nose down without first moving your torso or your arms over the nose. The best you can do is move the Onewheel a few inches before it has to come back to your torso. If I wanted to move to the left of the screen here by only moving my legs up or down, I would have to tilt the board to the right of the screen in order to put my body on the left side of the board. At that point, yes, I do want to push down on the nose to extend my front leg, but that's after and only after I get my upper body weight over that side. In other words, the tilt of the board only affects the acceleration for a fraction of a second. And after that, you can't ignore the fact that you are balancing on top of a single point. The farther away your center of gravity gets from the tire, the faster it will have to accelerate or you will fall down. And for this reason, it's much more helpful to think of acceleration and braking as a function of your center of gravity and not the tilt of the board. If you're not considering falling to the ground as an option and you want to accelerate in a certain direction at a certain speed, you don't have a choice of where your center of gravity is in relation to the tire. Wiggling the nose up and down with your legs will not affect your average acceleration or your speed in the long run. It'll just make it harder to balance. Your center of gravity is the average location of all your body weight. It could be higher or lower depending on the relative weights of your chest, waist, and legs, but for all intents and purposes, you can think of your center of mass as being somewhere in your torso. If you want to apply a steady amount of gas or brakes, it's very helpful to think of your gas pedal as being in your torso and not in your feet. Just to be very clear here, this is your body. This is your torso. It's not just your chest, it also includes your abdomen. So if I move my hips to the left of the screen here, or I move my shoulders to the left of the screen, either one of those will bring my torso and my center of gravity to the left of the screen. Gravity is always pulling your center of gravity towards the center of the earth, and in order to fight gravity, you generally need something touching the floor underneath your center. If I'm standing on the ground, I'm free to move my center of mass until it's directly over my left foot, or all the way over here over my right foot, but I will start to fall over if I try to move it past the point where I'm touching the ground. So if I'm standing with my feet a foot apart, I can move my center back and forth about a foot. When you ride a Onewheel, though, you're balancing on top of one point. You don't have the freedom to move around like this. So to illustrate, let's take a look at the balance board. On the balance board, I can tilt the angle of the board with my legs while keeping my center of gravity directly over the balance point. As long as I keep my center over the balance point, I stay on top of the cushion. But if I move more weight towards the left or the right, I lose my balance and I lose the war with gravity. The key thing to remember here is that in order to change my speed on a one wheel, I have to move in a way that would cause me to tip over if I was on a balance board. If we look at the balance board, moving my legs up and down will not tip me over because it doesn't really shift my weight to the side. If I was going to move out of my balance point using only my legs, that would look like this. As you can see, I can't really move my legs to the side very much without moving my hips. If I move my hips to one side while balancing, I have to move my shoulders in the opposite direction. And that brings us to the question of which body parts to move in order to change your speed, and what body position to aim for when you're cruising at a steady speed. The strategy that you use personally will depend on your body type, your foot placement, and the type of riding that you're doing. So next week, Jeff and Bodie are going to join me so that we can get 3 different perspectives. So if you have any questions or opinions on anything I've said so far, make sure to comment below so that we can address it next week. Thanks for watching, and until next time, fight gravity, my friends.
You stoked to go ride? I'm stoked to go ride. I'm gonna go ride. You should too. But if you're not, definitely subscribe to our channel or check out one of these 2 videos. I'm gonna go get my shred on.